So you're excited to go to uni? That's great, so was I. But hundreds of people who I've talked to have said the same thing. It wasn't quite what we expected it would be.
I think I was terrified.
Simultaneously, like, exciting and nerve-wracking.
It is amazing. It's a bit overwhelming at first.
Looking back on it, I didn't need to be as scared as I was.
Here are 26 things that I didn't expect when I first went, and I hope this helps you recognize them in your own life. When you first walk around campus, you might think, everyone here is so independent, so grown up. I've got a lot to learn. Accommodation. The nearest is not always the best. If you and your friends are walking in, taking the bus, train in together, that can bring you closer together. Brilliant. Alcohol affects everyone slightly differently. Some people get a massive high out of it. I know I really don't. Budgeting. The one-off expenses add up. You can't go to a concert, have a massive birthday bash, and do all your shopping all on the same day. This will have to wait until next week. Ultimately, I remember uni as mainly a social experience, and I told my dad this, and he said, well, life is a social experience. Here are some of my realizations at uni. So first off, you might not expect this, but you will fall out of touch with a lot of your school friends, maybe even most of them.
At school, you're kept in the same room with the same people consistently, so you don't sort of lose the touch or connection. But at uni, you can have like a great day with somebody, but like never see them again on campus because it's so huge.
One of my favorite things about the whole uni experience is that you meet so many people all over the place.
It's a friendly place, I like it. I must have met about 200 people.
Just the amount of people was the difference.
And because they're so different, your perceptions, what you thought people are like, will change. Your old ideas will break down.
You're literally living with so many diverse people, all walks of life.
You are more open to the idea that you could be wrong. Best example of this, all of the points in this video, because you will agree with some of them, disagree with some of them, and are sort of middling on others. At 18 years old, a lot of people have mastered their first impression, the first facade that people see. But if you meet them a second time, third time, then you actually break through that and find out who they are. So I would say, don't worry too much about the first impression. Look for the second impression.
I think in the first week I found a lot of like surface level friends, but now I'm sort of finding friends I can actually like be proper friends with and not just be like, oh, let's go to lectures together, like just because they're the only people that I know.
It wasn't until third year till I really like sussed out like who my good friends are.
Here's a bit of advice I would actually give. Nothing that you've accomplished at school before now matters anymore. Nobody's going to ask how many A stars you got, they'll just ask what subjects you did. Nobody's going to be interested if you were head boy or head girl, because it just doesn't matter anymore. You're all in the same place, you've all arrived here, so just forget about it.
You get chucked into a completely new environment. You kind of need to like, wrong word, but like grow up really quickly.
Something strange you might encounter is people cheering for the fact that you're doing something, but not cheering because it's actually good. One example is I, in first year, grew some sideburns, and I thought it was brilliant, and everyone was saying, oh yes, oh fantastic, it looks great. It didn't look great, they were just happy that I was doing it, and therefore they didn't have to. Here's one that can get quite real. Nobody cares about your gains until it helps them. By which I mean, if you go to the gym and get hench, what's the use if you never hold a door open, or aid someone with their deadlift form? If you're really good at your studies, well, people are going to think much better of you. If you share your knowledge, share your tips, maybe work with people instead of keeping all that knowledge for yourself. All I mean to say is, there are enough gains for everyone, and you find if you share them out, there's still plenty left for you, and people will like you more. Supposedly the main reason you've come to uni is to study your subject. But what does university study look like compared to at school? Harder is the word.
Yeah, it's kind of actually just more about study skills rather than working hard, if that makes sense.
Plan your schedule out.
Stay on top of assignments and work, otherwise you'll fall behind.
So in my experience, if you do all the essentials right, you will scrape a first, which is 70%. That doesn't sound like very much, but it proves how important going beyond the course content is. Those massive reading lists that the lecturers prepared at the start of the course aren't just for fun and games. They are how you deepen and broaden your knowledge, so you really become an expert in your subject.
Work out what works for you. Like, I know just doing problems works for me, so if I'm just sitting there like writing out notes, that's not going to do much.
So the main thing, of course, is that there's far less guidance than you had at school. This is great because there's no more detentions, but also not good because no one's telling you exactly what you need to do. It's much more independent. It's all on you now. Uni has an exit goal for you. Just like school wanted to get you into university or an apprenticeship or a job, uni wants to get you into industry. Now, you might agree with where your course is trying to push you, but that might not be in line with yourself, and that could be a tricky decision at some point. So something else that is tough to adjust to sometimes is at school you were the top of the class, you were the best artist, the fastest runner, the best physicist. But now you've joined a bunch of people who love the same thing you do, and you're now middle of the pack. So it can be humbling not being the best in the year anymore, but it comes back to choosing the right subject. It doesn't matter if you're not at the top of the class, as long as you're doing something that you absolutely love. Something I learned in second year was that if you cannot prioritize, you can do nothing. As something of an authority myself on having too many interests and liking too many disparate things, focus on the priorities and then you will accomplish those incredible things.
Because it can get really overwhelming, especially when you're trying to balance out time with friends, socializing, societies, and like sports and stuff.
Uni holidays are really, really long. Now you can use this time for personal growth or professional growth. Now I didn't really like those internships that everyone at uni was going to, the BP, Shell, wasn't interested. But I did like the sound of spending my summer making an album. So use your time in the way that you want. Just use it. So, academic work is your responsibility and you just need to get it done. But what about other stuff? There's a lot of people around here, and many of them will be okay most of the time, but nobody is going to be okay 100% of the time. Everyone's got days where they don't feel like getting out of bed or doing the thing that they've got to do. And so if you're having one of those days, then don't feel too bad, because everybody does. You go to uni and nobody knows you anymore. That means that you can pretend to be someone incredible, or you can just be more yourself and then see who likes you then.
People want to get to know you more because everyone's from such different environments that there's going to be a person who's, like, let's say more posh, and there's going to be a person that speaks more slang, for example, but these two people want to talk to each other.
I know there's this argument about pretending to be the thing and then you'll become the thing, but ultimately you won't be able to keep that up for the rest of your life.
Because if you're not yourself and then you make friends, like, they're going to realize that you're just a bit fake.
Instagram and social media are 1,000 ways to feel worse about yourself. Here's what I recommend. Use this as a tool, find out about events going on campus, and then leave the phone behind, go to them and live your real life. And the same is true for YouTube, by the way. If closing down this video right now and doing some press-ups or doing some cooking or talking to your friends and family would make you feel better, then please do that. And if you find that things aren't quite going your way or the way you expected, then talk to people, your family, your friends, people at the uni who want to support you, because it'll just help you remember who you actually are. And that probably is an incredible person.
I'd say if you do fall behind, speak to your personal tutor and they help you, and they my personal tutor is great and she'll work through personal stuff as well.
At the end of all of this, it's worth saying that I really valued all my time at uni. Even the difficult moments, I value them today because they were such good lessons. People who say that uni was the best time of their life, that's probably true. And even if it isn't, it's an extremely worthwhile time. Guys, I hope this video has given you something useful to think of before you go to uni or when you're already there. If you can think of anything else that I've missed, please put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.